So interesting is that I use OBS for my recording software, and whenever I go live and I'm recording, YouTube doesn't start the video until 10 seconds in. So now hopefully that's not variable, because if that's variable, then this video is going to start with me just sitting in a chair. But so let me play some music. This is my general, I'll turn this way down. This is my recording studio setup. I thought I would do an overview. Just kind of interesting. At least to me it is. So, well, let's see. Let me make this window bigger. Whoa. 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 Still kind of a newbie here, guys. Hang in there. Whoa. Okay, well, there we go. Grab. Okay. All right. Hello there. My name is Donovan Yamada. Nice to meet everybody. All 0 viewers. All right. So what do I got? I got a pretty cool recording studio. This is my hobby. I'm not a recording industry person. I'm actually a doctor that does this as a hobby. Everybody spends their money, right? So to start, the obvious is what you see are my keyboards. I'm kind of a collector of keyboards, kind of like girls are collectors of purses and shoes. And surprisingly, some of my keyboards, they're not much more than some shoes. It's ridiculous. But and purses. Some purses are lots more expensive than these keyboards. Life is crazy. So what you can see is a 88 keyboard. 88 key montage, Yamaha montage. 76 key Roland Jupiter 80. By the way, I really should do a video. I would love to have some interest in these videos, because there's some stories behind all of these keyboards, and this keyboard could have been amazingly great, and to me it is, but I get why it wasn't very popular and it's out of production now. But maybe one of these years it'll be $50,000 because you can't get it anymore. Whoa, my huge headphones just hit the microphone. Behind me up top, you know what? I should turn that keyboard on. System 8, it's another Roland. I hope this guy's plugged in. It's a... Oh, shoot. You can't see it. It's a Roland System 8. There we go. Yeah. It's a Roland System 8. Then I have I like Yamaha, and this is Yamaha Mo XF 6. But man, what is going on here? I think I had a stuck MIDI note. This is live, folks. 0 viewers live. Yamaha Mo XF 6. And then a Yamaha S90 SX. So, Yamaha montage. Yamahas here, particularly the Mo XF and the S90. Is there redundancy? Yes, there is. Surprisingly, though, even though there's a crossover with sounds, the sounds sound different. Different enough to where I didn't want to resell any one. And the main reason I bought the Mo XF is this thing is very portable. It's 15 pounds and 61 keys, has a sequencer, amazing sound bank, And you can just take this crazy little thing wherever you go. Pop it in your car. I've got a little case for it. This is more nostalgia. I've had this for a long time and I love it. It has a very good keyboard feel to it. And oddly, it has the best Mourn strings, that is M-O-U-R-N strings I've ever heard. And do I have it hooked up here? Let me just stop this. Let me just play. Let me turn up the volume. I know, digress, I get it. But here's the Mourn strings. So that is me through my digital audio workstation. I'm playing on a Nord, and I'll show you. I've got a picture of that. I won't try to bend my camera in that direction. But I'm on a Nord, and through my Nord, I can, well, through any keyboard, because all these keyboards are connected to my computer through USB, so I could play any other device on any device just by routing. And so right now I'm actually playing the keyboard in front of me, but the sound is being generated by this S90, and that's the one that I said had good Mourn strings. So I can route it to my Yamaha Montage and find Mourn strings here. So now I'm playing the Mourn strings on the Yamaha Montage. Evidently not, but now I am. Okay, let me switch over real quick because that sounded pretty similar. Here we go. Okay, let me do it lower. This is the S90 SX. This is the old Yamaha behind me here. Okay, now I'm going to switch to the Montage, which is the newer Yamaha here, Mourn strings. Wow. Maybe, let me do that one. Maybe they are the same. Maybe, I don't know what I was doing. Okay, play that. I'm going to let go. Switch over to the Montage. Okay, so they do sound similar. I don't know. It must have been psychological. This is very real. I'm a very real person. I have no reason to talk things up or down. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I get it. I love it. It's great. So I guess maybe they do sound very good. But there are some sound sets on this little S90 that, some patches that they don't have here on the Montage that are just, they're just cool. And anyway, I keep it. So let me go back to playing. My background turned down. So my little background music I've got going on here. You can see that little playing. So over here I have the Korg Chronos. It's the new Chronos that has the wood. It's the same. It just looks a little different. There's a upgraded SSD. The thing still takes 5 minutes to start. It's ridiculous. It's actually, believe it or not, my least favorite keyboard. And I know some people are gonna scoff at me for that, but it's just a little too complex. It's a computer. It really is. It's the most like a computer that just has its little screen, and I mean, you can do anything with it if you're willing to take the time. I have had this thing for a very long time, and it's actually the keyboard I'm the least familiar with, despite me having the motivation to learn it. But it just takes so long to do things and get things done unless you, I mean, you can set things up to where you can create your overlays, but even that takes a long time, so I never really got into it. I've contemplated selling that crazy thing, but I just can't sell any of my keyboards. I get so attached. And I actually have a silver. I have one of the first Yamaha motifs. It's upstairs, but that little guy still sounds great. It has a very good piano. I can't remember the name of the piano patch, but it's like almost like a, anyway, it's like a rock type of piano. It sounds great. Up here, I have the Seaboard Rise, and that's a keyboard that has a very squishy tactile touch. It's soft rubber, so there are 5 dimensions of play, if you will. So if you hit, say, a C key and you move your finger, wiggle it a little bit, it's gonna give a little pitch bend in each direction. If you go up and down the key, you rub your finger up and down, it makes a different sound. And then if you take your finger either at the top strip or the bottom strip of the rubber turns smooth in a strip, and you can just pitch bend infinitely, at least to however you program it within the settings, and just do some crazy pitch bends. And then it has a velocity, which of course all keys do, but it has aftertouch, which most of these keyboards do anyway. But it also has a release effect that you can alter. The faster you release it, you could have it do different things. So it can sound a lot more realistic, but there's not a ton of patches that utilize all those dimensions. And I haven't had it for very long, and I haven't played with it a ton, but I would like to do my own review. I watch YouTube reviews, and they're just so, when I watch these reviews, they get so, they're trying, let's turn that down, that piano. These reviewers are really typically trying to sell it, or they have bias because it's been sent to them for free. And that's why I really, despite me having like 0 views right now, I would really love to become a reviewer and just 0 bias review. None. I buy my own stuff. I'm not, this is just going to be a review. So in front of me, I have a controller keyboard, the Komplete Kontrol 49 key. And then I have the Nord. And I got this, so I've got some pictures. Let's see. So this is what is immediately in front of me. Sorry, this was a low light. I didn't turn on my lights to take these pictures. So these turn out to be low light photography, but ridiculous. But you get the idea. It's a Nord Piano 3. They've got a Nord Piano 4 out now that has double the voices. Wouldn't you know it? It's like a year after I bought this thing, they come up with the Nord 4. And then on top of that is the Komplete Kontrol. And that's just a controller keyboard. It does not generate any of its own sounds, but it's a Native Instruments. It's put out by a company called Native Instruments, which is one of the largest audio. They have a lot of instruments, software instruments. Here's a Native. So all of these are software, either instruments or effects. Each one of these is like its own instrument. These aren't sounds. Like the emotional piano will have several hundred sounds. That emotive strings, same thing. So just a massive library, a massive library that can be very well controlled through this key. You can control it from anything, but this keyboard is just made to kind of run through those patches fairly efficiently. But Not only that, it has a very good tactile feel to it. I like most of the controllers on it, except this stupid volume bar that whenever you're hitting pitch bend or modulation, your palm of your hand always hits. I have to basically turn that here, this strip right here. See? Oh wait, it's not being. I thought I'm looking at this picture, thinking you're going to see that in real time. But right here is a strip, very poorly placed. If you hit it, it adjusts the volume. The default control is to adjust the volume. And as you're pitch bending or using modulation, the palm of your hand hits that, and the sound will just go away. And you're thinking, what happened? Well, you've pulled that thing down to zero. It's kind of dumb. So you have to either be very careful, or you have to essentially disengage it whenever you're playing. So here you can. So I have one box here. This is an Apollo Twin, one of the newer versions. But let me see here. Let me first talk about, what's the better picture here? Maybe this one. So all of my 7 keyboards generate their own sounds. And the sounds don't get transmitted to the computer through USB. Only MIDI data. That is the velocity at which you hit keys, any aftertouch, and just how you play. That's what's transmitted to the computer, not the sound from these computers, which are standalone instruments. To get the sound, you have to, just like anything, they have a 1/4 inch outs. They come out, and you can either plug in headphones, but in my case, I plug all my keyboards into an 18-channel digital mixer. It's the Behringer XR18 Air. And so all of my keyboards that make sound, and right now, you see, so what's happening right now is my Nord piano, the red one, these are MIDI. These are just MIDI notes. And here is the velocity. And let me just open this window. And I don't know if you can read that. I'm recording this at 1440p, not 4K. But velocity, pitch bend, aftertouch, poly pressure, program change, any other system exclusive data, MIDI controllers 1 through whatever. You can just breath, modulation, balance. There's just tons of all these controls. And all this is sent through MIDI. In each one of these individual little notes here has all that data. And that data is played through the digital workstation through USB, comes into this piano, into this. Am I doing that? Can you see that? Son of a gun. I'm blocking the pictures because I've got my picture. Now I've got to bring this down. Sorry, guys. Newbie. Gosh. So, yeah, here's. I haven't been able to see this. So frustrating. So this is the Nord, and this is what my DAW is sending all this data into the keyboard. The keyboard is then generating the sound, outputting out through standard 1/4 inch wires into this mixer. And then my controller for the mixer, I have a little tablet. I think I took a picture of that little guy. Here it is. Yeah. So here's my little tablet. And this controls 16 channels, or 18 channels. The sound output from my keyboards. Pretty cool, because the Behringer with this digital mixer has, I think there's 30 to 40 some kind of onboard effects, and any 4 you can load at any given time and run and vary the output of each effect to each channel separately. So I actually have a tiny bit of added reverb, a little bit of sound enhancement to give it a little bit higher end. And anyway, I can't remember if I'm running a tad bit of a delay. I don't think I have that on. And a little bit of other equalization adjustments and some gain. And I'll talk about that later. So all these keyboards have that based on how I felt they sounded. I spent a week just doing this. Coming into my Behringer mixer. And then this Behringer mixer, which is here. This is the Behringer box with, you see all these crazy wires coming into it. This thing then outputs into my Apollo X6. So the X6 has 6 inputs. So, six physical 1/4 inch inputs and or TLR. Now it's funny. TLS, TLR, TLS. 6 inputs here. So, and just to keep going with this concept is that I've got an 8 input Scarlett, as you can see, Octo Pre, that I plug in to this X6 through ADAT, through an optical input. And that gives me 8 channels to plug other things in that I'm not so worried about the preamps on this thing. This is just a Generation 2 Scarlett Octo Pre. It's great. Very, very low to no noise. By the way, I kind of test my noise regularly just because it's fun to do. And this system has essentially 0 noise other than mic and my air conditioner running in the background and whatnot. But so my keyboards come to the mixer after they've been processed a little bit and then come into here, and then these inputs come into here. And the other thing I have is, you saw earlier, but I had it hidden, and I'll reload it, is this Apollo Twin. So the Apollo Twin makes for a pretty cool volume controller, and it gives me a few more inputs. I have things done in a pretty abstract way, but it's on purpose. And it was my mic. You'll see it runs through a discrete 4 audio box prior to getting to this. So let me bring this over now. So this is the software. Whoa. Oh, great. This is the software representation of this Twin plus the X6 box. So I hope there's enough resolution for you to see that there's a blue strip up here that comes from here to here. And this represents the X6, whereas this green strip represents the Apollo Twin. So my adjustments that I make, either here or within my software, refer to here. And in my software, by the way, it's interesting because it designates the inputs and the outputs as A for this, and then B, like it'll be A virtual 1 and 2. That refers to the Apollo X6 virtual input, which I would use to run my software instruments internally within my computer that don't require a physical input. But in my DAW, I'll also have a B virtual 1 and 2, and that means that'll use the processing power. If I choose that, it'll use the processing power of the Apollo Twin rather than the X6. So all these things come together. So you can see I have mic 1 and 2 preamps for my Apollo Twin. I have line 3, 4, and 5, and 6. Line 5 and 6 input I'm using for my Behringer, my mixer. All my keyboards come in through line 5 and 6. And incidentally, and interestingly, I have a channel strip set up to actually, you can't see that, make my keyboards even louder. Something that's interesting about, let me get rid of that. Something that's interesting about keyboards is they run pretty quiet, and they're like that for on purpose, because a keyboard manufacturer doesn't want their internal sounds to clip within the keyboard itself. So in order to do that, they have to normalize the levels to some of their loudest sounds. So whenever I play a soft piano, it comes across as being very soft, and I tend to have to push gain up. So what I've done is I've pushed gain up between the Behringer mixer, which adds a little gain, and equalization, which pushes the loudness up a little as well. I've got 5 decibels. Let me see. More than 5. Well, I have 5 dB pushing this everything, bumping everything up. But on top of that, I've bumped this equalization up. So I probably have a total of 6 or 7 dB within this channel strip, and 1 or 2 dB within my Behringer mixer, lifting the volume of all my keyboards. Now I may be a noob, but I'm not that dumb. I know what some of you are thinking. Not a good idea, because each of these keyboards emit a little bit of sound. Noise, not sound. They emit a lot of sound, but noise, just this psh. Interestingly, this montage has some of the most noise. It makes a little hum, but again, this is so minuscule. Your ears you would go deaf listening to music before you even hear. I've tested all of these. I'm sorry, I don't know how loud that is. My massive headphones hit the mic. I don't know if that's killing you guys. I'm sorry. I've tested each one of these independently, and it's just interesting to hear. And I won't do it now, but I've got the sum of all my keyboards basically through this channel 5 and 6. The noise floor is so low with even the sum of all 7 keyboards running into my mixer that you can only barely hear a hiss at extremely loud volume. So it's negligible. But, and that is after I've added all of the volume increases that I've just talked about. So current technology, what happened? I've lost my background music. Sorry guys, I have to restart it. So that is not even noise is not an issue. I lost my train of thought. Let me come back to my pictures. I have to be careful with my pictures. What do you see here? Head CT. I'm a radiologist, so okay. So what should I talk about? This little guy is really nothing. This would add sound. By the way, all of my wires are Mogami. And guys, I've seen the videos, I've seen the reviews, cables, trust me that each one of these Mogami cables is between $60. You guys know what I'm talking about. $60. And I've got one Mogami that runs to the front speakers. That's 100 feet. And I think those were $150 to $200 each. They're very expensive cables. But if any cable that's going to be going from your sound source to be recorded into the computer should at least be this quality. I have tried $20 cables, $30 cables. They just make noise. And Mogami's add some freakish warmth. My brother was here one night. We did a cable test, and it was just no question. Gosh, it's crazy. Maybe cable technology has changed, so some companies have a $20 cable that sounds as good. I don't know, but this is real. This is these, and they have a lifetime warranty. If one breaks, you take it in someplace, anywhere that sells Mogamis, you hand it to them, they'll give you a new one. So this little guy is there for interesting reason. I don't need it for the sound generation of this system that is just here. But the problem is I've got a bunch of speakers throughout my room. I've got two 12-inch mid-ranges. Then I have kind of the tweeters in front of me. So I've got 4 speakers. I've got a really big subwoofer up there in front of me. Then I've got these Yamahas also behind me, and then another Yamaha subwoofer here. I have a lot of speakers, and and this is my basement, so I also watch movies. And I didn't want to add another set of speakers like 7.1 surround. I wanted everything to come together. And the most efficient way to do that was taking one of these Yamaha MGXU series and plug things in that these are the things that actually my ears hear. This is not in my recording chain. So this is, again, if you've got this Apollo, you've got Mogami cables, you don't want this in your chain. This would be your weak link, and you would get noise generation. Not much. These are excellent little mixers for their price. Very little noise, but this Apollo is zilch. None. I mean, I turn up the volume to maximum to where a pin would drop, and it would probably blow my windows in this house out, blow them out. And there's just nothing, not a sound. I don't even really get it. It's not until you unmute some of my channels here, and only then do you start hearing the noise from what's actually plugged into that. So an amazing little system. This little guy does make some noise, but it's not enough to really degrade your listening experience. Like if I'm listening and I really want to try to get levels on the music that I'm making, I'll wear, headphones anyway. This is the music that hits my ears from my speakers is really just kind of fun sound, But I've got this system plugged into that. I've got my audio system that I watch movies on plugged into that. And they all get sent to all speakers, so I can do anything at any given time. Somebody can be watching a movie, and I can come up here and play my piano and add to the movie music and piss everybody off who's watching the movie. You get it. But I know what you're thinking, by the way. You're thinking, how do you get 5, 7, 9.3 surround out of that? Well, you don't. Interesting. I'm going to digress here. You've got to hear this. This should be its own YouTube video, and it really should have 1 billion views. It's just so interesting. Of course, it's my own perception. So that maybe it shouldn't have 1 billion, maybe just 10 million. But I have a nice 7.1 surround upstairs in a theater room. I have been to Best Buy and listened to some of the best speakers they have. I've listened to their Atmos, the speakers that are over your head. I've been to a friend's house who has a nice surround system. After listening to everything, my favorite way to listen to a movie and music is through my system in my basement right here, where I have a large stereo setup. No Dolby, no 5.1, just simply plugging in a right and left channel into a mixer and outputting it to I got 4, 6, and then 2 subs. 6 standard speakers, 2 subs. Stereo channel. That's right. Turning your video audio device to just disengage all surround, all special effects, all surround, DTS, Atmos, whatever, you get it, Dolby, and just pushing a standard stereo signal to all these speakers, filling the room, hitting your ears. I mean, that to me, I stumbled there a little bit. Sorry, I was trying to make that a little more impactful than it turned out to be, but the impact of just getting a large volume of sound filling a space and hitting your ears, to me, is just the best thing there is. I don't like a center channel. Center channels have to be so dialed in. Otherwise, you just hear this voice coming right from the front. And I don't typically like that. The Atmos, which was above my head, the rain, the whizzing sounds were just too directful. It was like somebody going, hey, just in your ears. And okay, I get it. It's kind of cool. It's fun, but it's not what I want when I watch a movie. I was watching Everest, and I listened to the Atmos system, my 7.1 system, and my stereo system, and just the whipping snow, sleet, yelling voices. It was so much more immersive to just be a full stereo sound rather than all these other companies trying to push sounds into your ears from different areas, trying to give you this fake you out and to think that you're really there. Doesn't work for me. Maybe it does to you guys. Try listening to a movie if you've got a 7.1. Turn it into stereo and just see. Turn it up and listen to it and see what you think. Now, it won't be the same because my system is kind of set up as a stereo system, and it everything is very purposeful in that regard. But anyway, you know what? I just saved, if I had 1 million views, I probably saved 500,000 viewers a crap ton of money just now, because I don't think you need those expensive drill into your ceiling, put speakers in there and up directing speakers, and just get some decent quality speakers. I don't know. Anyway, wow. Where was I? So that's all this thing is right here. This is a normalizer. Gosh, what do you call these things? You know, they allow for very good, an exact 60 hertz frequency at 120 volts with minimal electric signal degradation. Does it help? Probably not. I don't know. Okay, interesting. I bought this little guy here, this Australian company, Antelope, Discrete 4, and it was before I really was getting started with all this, and I thought, that's all I need. Got some decent reviews. Turned out that I just didn't like it. And I quickly upgraded to the Apollo series, which are excellent. So why do you see a microphone plugged in to that thing? Well, that is this mic. So this Rode mic that I'm using, I am sending through this and running it through to, I think, another equalization, as well as a mic preamp, and I forget which one, excuse me, but let me tell you, I plugged this mic in to the Apollos directly and used about 10 of the preamps that I had, and then I plugged it into here and used those preamps, and this sounded better. It just did. It's at least, again, my perception, my ears. I've got some singing I've done, and you can hear my voice and whatnot. I don't know. It's just my perception. But the other thing that I think is kind of cool about it is that I plug the microphone in here mono, and then of course it outputs stereo, so it duplicates the signal to right and left channels. I then bring that into my Apollo, And here is, I have it coming into my Apollo Twin. It's under the green line here. So this mic is coming in through stereo. I'm plugging a mono mic into the discrete 4. It comes out stereo. So I've turned my mic inputs on the Apollo Twin. That's right. I'm wasting mic inputs here. I've turned them into a stereo pair, and I run it as my channel. And of course, that's why, and I don't know if somebody was very astute, if they noticed this was set to line and not mic. Well, that's the reason, because at this point, after it comes out of the discrete 4 box, it's now a line signal. But I can still use, I don't think to as great as effect as if I was using the mic preamp, but still to pretty good effect. I could still use this mic preamp, and I can still run all my effects that I have purchased through the Universal Audio, and there are many. I've got all these, so I can use any of these: reverbs, delays, compression. I hope you can see all. So, and then when the final signal gets recorded into my digital audio workstation here, it's a stereo signal. So, you know, again, I'm a little bit of a newbie, and some of you guys may be laughing at me if you're watching at this. If anybody, whoever really is good at all this all this music production. But it just is so much easier to throw audio inserts. You can use the stereo versions of these effects units, these digital inserts, and it just makes it so much easier to get the delay you want. And I've tried mono and a stereo. I don't have to use a stereo duplicator because it's already, the signal stereo. I could always turn it into mono if for some reason I wanted that. I would love, again, I'd love to have 1 billion views here, guys, because these are things that get a little tough, but maybe there is a reason somebody likes having a mono recording. I don't know, but so that's that. My little discrete. Oh, the other cool thing this thing does is I use it. You see this cable coming out back? That's a coaxial cable. I have this plugged into my computer through USB, and this acts as my sounds card, which is excellent. And I have it output the computer sound through a digital coaxial cable into my, guess what? Into my Apollo X6, which has a coax input. So I wasn't going to use that coaxial input for anything else, so it's not wasteful. So I'm getting my computer sound directly in through that, and that saves me a channel strip, so I don't have to use my Apollo X6 directly for my computer. I like having segregated pieces, as you can see, as is pretty evident at this point. You know, computer, microphone, Apollo Twin. I used, when I first started, I just had a bigger version. I have a 16 channel, one of these analog Yamaha mixers plugged in through USB to my computer, and it was just so, I had to direct the computer into a channel, and there was once where I set it up wrong and I got it into a loop, and it blew my speakers. And I don't set up a mixer with your speakers on. You know, maybe put your headphones in a desk in front of you and turn the volume down. But this is just so much more intuitive of how this works, so much easier to control whenever you are able to have separate pieces do separate things. So don't throw your old equipment away, guys. By the way, I have I'm going to upgrade that. This is the first version. This little thing with these crappy quarter inch, you see this Focusrite up here? That is how I'm recording this YouTube video. So I just bought a Gen 3 of this. And then I bought 2 more short Mogami cables. They're going to come out from the output here. Because this Apollo X6 brings everything together. My computer, all my inputs, my keyboards, my microphone. And am I clipping? Somehow I sound like I'm clipping. What? So I'm new to this OBS. I don't know what that is. I'm new to this OBS software, and I don't know. It's a little fluky. But then I direct the outputs. I've got 4 outputs I'm not using on this thing. So I decided to send 1 pair out to this box. By the way, OBS it's not advanced enough to recognize all the abilities of this box. And I couldn't figure out what it listed it, but I couldn't find the output. So it's just so much easier. I plug this sucker in, and it's terrific. It gave me the best levels. At first, when I was recording through another device, my levels weren't high enough, and I couldn't figure it out. Everything was the decibels had dropped about 10 points. So I don't know. This little guy, just OBS knows what this is and understands the levels, the computer. I mean, but hopefully when I upgrade, maybe it will allow for a little bit better YouTube sound. I don't know. Probably not. YouTube is, I think the degradation of sound that once it gets to YouTube, I'm not sure that's even going to matter, but maybe so, right? Maybe. It wasn't too terrible expensive to add that. I get that this week. So, my computer. Everything, here's the brains. Here's the brains of my system. Right here. This is, again, not a good picture. This was a low light. I didn't turn on my candle lights. Ridiculous. But, so, I built my own computer. I love building my own computers. I hate buying pre-built computers, and I'm a PC guy. I've tried using Mac for music, and it just didn't work for me. I don't know. That could be a whole nother video, but I love the PC for computer. I mean, I've got, as you can imagine, I have so much in the software environment on this PC. I have effects from Liquid. Oh gosh, I can't even remember these companies, but multiple companies I've purchased software instruments, and it just, I don't know. On a PC, they just work. The file system is more intuitive for me, where things are, and anyway, this little guy is pretty cool. It's a i9 9900K CPU, water cooled, as you can see here. 64 gigabytes of RAM, 3200, 3600. I can't remember. I can't remember if I've overclocked that RAM or not. RTX 2080, not a 2080 Ti. I don't need a 2080 Ti. I don't even need a 2080, but needless to say, I've got a 2080. Open case. So you think noise, right? Coming into my microphone? Well, yeah, I didn't think of that whenever I bought this case, but this computer is so quiet because these fans are so big. They're low RPM fans that cool like crazy, and I can barely hear it. If my air conditioner's off and everything's turned off, yes, I can hear a little buzz, but kind of funny. If you'll notice, you see these pads here? These are sound absorbing pads that I put under my Komplete Kontrol keyboard in between this computer to absorb some of the computer sounds. And if I'm really recording a song, I'll take these pads. You can't really see these, but by the way, this computer's on cinder blocks, guys. That's awesome. I'll take these soundproofing pads and I'll put them on top to even further limit the sound from the computer, so I don't get any hum in this microphone as I'm recording. But awesome computer. I mean, this thing is just, it's just a bomb. It is just spot on. So there we go. So from there, I'll just get into my my DAW. I use Cubase Pro, and this is it here. I don't know. I love it. It has its quirks, but boy, you could just do anything. I know in any DAW of your choice these days, you can do anything you want, but I really do like Cubase. By the way, it's a Yamaha product. My last name is Yamada, by the way. Donovan Yamada. I've got Cubase, Yamaha. I've got four Yamaha keyboards, one of which is upstairs. So you see that? You see the similarity? I'm actually half Japanese, so just trying to support my peeps, you know? Or as my girlfriend would say, the Japs. Now, I can say that. She says that to me, and she didn't realize how derogatory that term was until I told her. So, I'm half Japanese. I can say that. I won't say it again, but I can say it. But this is how I record. And again, here, so I'll turn up my keyboard. This is my Behringer that you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm turning up the channel, my Behringer channel, so that it's all my keyboards. And I'm also going to turn up my virtual channel, which allows my software instrument. I've had those down. So on my Nord, I can basically, again, you can play anything from anywhere. So this is my... So this is my montage. By the way, I forgot to turn it back to my... I meant to have it on... whoa, strings. I meant to have it on this violin. So if you guys were listening to the background music, it was actually wrong because it was supposed to be a violin, not Morn strings. But so I'm playing the Yamaha montage. By the way, I've turned off local control on my keyboards, and that means when I hit a key, it does not, the keyboards do not generate their own sound. It gets sent to my digital audio workstation, and depending on what track I have highlighted, that keyboard will only play, so it doesn't duplicate the sound from the keyboard that I'm actually playing. And that's a silly concept. By the way, they make, again, I wish I had 1 billion views because I want to catch the attention of all keyboard manufacturers on this planet. Make a switch on every keyboard that turns local control off and on. And the only reason, because you have to tend to get into these submenus and submenus, and it can be hard for anybody who doesn't know that and understand that. They can never turn off their keyboard, and they're just getting this duplicate sound. Anyway, I'm sure it's caused massive amount of frustration for more people than just me. But I guess something against it is some people can actually flip that switch and not realize what they've done, and then they don't get any sound, and they're trying to play for their family or their gig. Maybe that's why they've made it hard to turn off. But please make it easier to engage and disengage local control in every computer. And I guarantee you, if I had 1 billion viewers or 10 million viewers who understood recording, they would all be clapping right now. It's ridiculous. So this is my Nord, and as you can see, I've highlighted my montage, and I've got I've created a sound or adjusted a sound from a solo violin and kind of made it my own. The problem with a Nord is that it doesn't have aftertouch, it doesn't have a modulation wheel, and it doesn't have a pitch bend wheel. So if I really want to play the violin, then I would actually do it on the montage itself because it has aftertouch. See this? Aftertouch. That's aftertouch, and then it has the modulation. pitch bend modulation. Here's my Jupiter that I just clicked on Jupiter. So now my Nord is playing my Roland Jupiter 80. Always good lessons. See, right now I have my track set to the Jupiter 80 will be played only by the Jupiter 80. So no, I want anything I touch, any keyboard, now that I've put all MIDI inputs, any keyboard I touch will now play this Jupiter 80 as long as this track is selected. That's my complete control. And now my Nord. And then you can go on. Omnisphere is a software-based instrument. What do I've got on it? Downer. It could be loud. I don't know what this is going to be. These software instruments are tuned to just crank the volume to the point of maximum clipping. A lot of these are EDM types of sounds. So I should turn down. I have this running through my virtual channel, so I'm going to turn that down and just see what we got. Yeah, see that? Yeah, it's just what, come on. Let me bring it down. So this is Omnisphere. So now I am playing my Nord, my red keyboard, but I've clicked on the Omnisphere channel strip. Massive X. What do I got loaded in a Massive X here? Artocaster. What is that? Hallian, nothing. Don't have any sound put into that. Nord, Symphonic Orchestra. What do I got? Anyway, Spectre, Pad Shop. And then you can, if I wanted to, I could use the Pad Shop sound only playable through the Nord. And then I could have the violin from the montage only play through the Komplete Kontrol keyboard. So then I highlight both and I can play both. So I can play that sound from Pad Shop on my Nord. Am I still recording? Yep. And then my Komplete Kontrol will play the montage violin. And you can see I have both of those tracks highlighted, and that's how I'm able to do that. It's almost like a mixer. You can just route the physical keyboards to any either physical keyboard or software instrument in really any way you want that to work out. So you get a lot of variability. That's it. So hopefully I get more than 0 views, guys. I would like to do more of these. I can do individual keyboards. My sound, I can do a video on my noise floor and how noise is affected by each keyboard, each device that you plug in. Oh, by the way, I have a vocoder. Did I set that up? I got to do my vocoder, man. My vocoder, here it is, vocoder. Now I have, see this mic? This is my vocoder mic. And I've got the VPO3. I got to show you my VPO3. Where is that? Shoot, is this the only picture here? Can you see that? Come on. There it is, right there. See that little mic cable? This is this microphone right here. This is my Roland little VPO3. I love this little thing. Now I need to turn off my main mic. My main mic is going to be muted. Is my VPO3 unmuted? It is unmuted. So here.
Testing. This is my vocoder. It makes a little. This thing actually makes quite a bit of noise whenever you're using it, but it's still not that much. So pretty cool. I'm hitting a key. I'm hitting a chord right now. I don't know if you can understand me. I think you can because I can kind of understand what I'm saying. But so as I'm playing, if you don't play anything, you can't hear me. So I'm gonna let go of my keyboard. So only whenever I'm pushing the keys down is you can hear. And then you can hear a low note without a chord and you sound like a robot. And then you can adjust the, what is it called, the format. So, and then you can bring that up or down and really sound like, get off of my lawn. Let me bring that back here. And then of course you can talk really high. So, just, I don't know, things. I can actually add my direct voice. So I'll bring in my voice. There's a little slider here. So now you can hear, and that's kind of annoying, I think, but maybe not. But let me come back down, take my voice out. And then maybe I can leave a little voice in. Here, this is like 15%. Now, so I remember when we touched. I felt your warm embrace, reaching out to both of us. I took my voice off. I remember when we touched. Do you remember? I'm clipping. Gotta be careful. I can adjust the level here and just. So I'm gonna turn my vocoder off. I tell you what. Whenever I get on my vocoder, sometimes that's all I want to do, and I can just keep doing it and annoy the crap out of anybody in the basement. So I'm gonna turn it off now. I'm going to move the microphone away and re-engage my other microphone so you can hear me like a normal person.
All right. Vocoder. What else? That's it, I think. Well, I don't know. There's probably more, but that's a long video. Should catch me at least 10 views. But there you go, guys. I'm going to end the stream. This actually was live, by the way, with 0 viewers. I would have loved to have, again, I think I said like 1,000 viewers and answer some questions. But, maybe one of these days I'll actually get some subscribers. We can do like a live show, and I would be happy to. I have been through so many of the ups and downs with putting this all together. I feel like I could answer just about any question as far as putting something together with a lot of different values. Like I feel like I could maximize somebody who just had $1,000 or $500 even, and I can give advice to the person who has $50,000 or $100,000 to spend. Not like the guys in Los Angeles, I guess, in Nashville, but pretty close, I think. No laughing here, guys. This is just a very I could be humbled, and that's fine, but let me tell you, I've been through the thick of it. So